let's get out of our classroom and go to Russia to see what really happened. First, let's talk about Russia itself. Russia was a massive country that connected from Europe to Asia. Even though the land was big, many parts of the land was left unbeneficial because of the cold climate. This climate affected trade as well because the coastline was always full of frozen ice and ships until summer to be able to trade again. Since Russia is a very big country, it is governed by a Tsar or an emperor. During the revolution, Tsar Nicholas II was the ruler, and he ruled by the system called autocracy, which he did not need to share any power with anyone. However, Nicholas II was a very weak person. He could not deal with the big problems of Russia, so he had to have a ruling system. He had civil servants in many parts of the country. These people took orders from the Tsar and made sure the order was passed on. The Tsar also had the Okhrana, or the secret police. They were in charge of arresting people who opposed Nicholas II. He had the Cossacks in charge to break mobs. The church also took orders from the Tsar, and they taught religious people to respect and be loyal to the Tsar. There were three different groups that were against the royal family: the Socialist Revolutionaries, the Bolsheviks, and the Mensheviks. The Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks' ideas were based on Karl Marx's ideas about how the working people will start to get bigger and more angry with the owning class, and they will soon overthrow. However, they disagreed on how the revolution should work. The Mensheviks wanted all the working class, but the Bolsheviks wanted only a small group of people in lead. Conditions of the peasant at that time were really bad, and the war against Japan worsened the condition. As a result of the war against Japan, the people marched to the Winter Palace to agree about reforms with the Tsar. However, the army and the police tried to stop them, and about 500 marchers were killed. This event was called the Bloody Sunday. After the Bloody Sunday, the news spread throughout the country. Then the 1905 revolution began. People rebelled and killed landlords and officers from anger and rage. The Tsar had to agree on making reforms because everything was out of control. He created a Duma to give what the people wanted. However, the Duma did not do much because Russia was still ruled by an autocracy. World War I drove things even worse. The economy of Russia collapsed because many men were going into war, and back home they did not have enough people to work in factories and in farms. The other problem was that Russia did not have enough transportation to distribute food and supplies evenly to soldiers and the people back at home. They did not even have enough power resources. After a great loss in World War I, Nicholas decided to take control of the army and went to live at the headquarters. It was a bad idea because Russia was left in the Tsarina's rule. This was bad because a man named Rasputin had a great influence over the Tsarina since he cured Alexei from hemophilia. People believed that both of them were secret German agents destroying Russia from the inside. There was a group of people who then had to deal with this problem and murdered Rasputin to save their country. People thought conditions would be better, but then blizzards started. Living conditions worsened than before. The people were ready for a revolution. This revolution was called the March Revolution. People marched and striked in the streets of Petrograd while Nicholas was in the headquarters. They were short on food, no public transportation, no nothing. Everything was out of control. People couldn't deal with this anymore. When the Tsar came back, the Duma warned him that things were getting out of control and too late. He gave the throne to Grand Duke Michael. However, the Duke was afraid he would be unpopular just like Nicholas. He abdicated. Russia was left as a republic. The new government was called the Provisional Government. There were the 12 members of the Duma. This provisional government was only a temporary government. On the other hand, Lenin, who was exiled from Russia from opposing the Tsar, was a leader of the Bolsheviks. He wanted another chance for a revolution. He came back with the support of the Germans. The Germans wanted a lot of problem in Russia and wanted the Bolsheviks to rule because Russia would withdraw from the war. However, the revolution failed because many people thought Lenin and the Bolsheviks was a secret German agent. The secret police captured many Bolsheviks, and Lenin had to go hide nearby Filin. While Kerensky was the prime minister, Kornilov believed he was a strong man who needed to rule Russia. The Bolsheviks took place in helping and became the Red Guards protecting the Petrograd. This gained the Bolsheviks' names back. The people now trusted them. Back to the people and how their conditions are very bad. Lenin was a smart man who used his anger and violence among the people to arouse them and take over the provisional government. Lenin attacked the Winter Palace, and within one day he announced that he will be setting up a new government which was based on the idea of Karl Marx, that later will be transformed into communism. Trotsky, another leader of the Bolsheviks, thought that other countries like Germany and Austria-Hungary was going to want a revolution just like Russia had. He talked a lot in the peace conference about the socialist revolution. However, Germany did not want those revolutions at all. After this, Germany was attacking Russia as well. Lenin could not put Russia into war because the Bolsheviks would lose their support. They had to make a peace treaty. After making peace with the Germans, the anti-Bolsheviks scattered up and formed the White Army. The Bolsheviks were the Red Army. The Allies were helping the Whites defeat the Red Army because they were mad that Russia withdrew from World War I. In this civil war, many thousands were killed. The Bolsheviks were scared that if the White Army won, they would give Nicholas II's throne back. So they killed him along with his family. During the war, Lenin was shot 3 times, but luckily survived. After the shooting, Lenin ordered the Shika, or the secret police, to begin the Red Terror. This was, whoever supported the Whites would be killed. Since Trotsky was a very good military leader and knew what to do, after a while the Allies withdrew from the Civil War, leaving the Whites to themselves. The Reds won eventually. Now that Lenin was in charge and everything was peaceful again, he wanted to introduce a new system called communism, where everyone was equal and shared wealth. However, it did not work because peasants were starting to see that there was no point in growing surplus food, if the surpluses was going to be taken away anyways. So in 1920, there was a terrible food shortage. After what happened, people got ready to attack Petrograd, since communism was not what they asked for. The Shikas had to capture these people. As a result of this, Lenin realizes that the economy cannot grow like this. So he introduced a new economic policy, which was basically allowing capitalism. Russia's economy soon got much better. I believe that the Russian Revolution could have been prevented, and it would make such a big difference. The revolution could have been prevented if Nicholas II at least had a smart advisor that he listens to. He would have agreed to make reforms for the people that actually made changes. He wouldn't go to World War I or have any war with anyone like Japan. It would have made a great difference because the people wouldn't be killed. Russia would not at all be a communist country because it did not even have a working and owning class at that time. The Tsar might still be ruling but shares his power to the government. The people would be so much happier and living conditions wouldn't be so bad.